Ekene's path took a different turn when a persuasive man of God warned him against Nnamdi. The man of God claimed that Nnamdi was involved in dark rituals and intended to use Ekene's future for his own gain. Frightened and misled, Ekene rejected Nnamdi's support and distanced himself from his brother. The two brothers, who at one time had only each other, became arch-enemies, with Ekene rejecting every form of gift from his brother and always calling him a ritualist. Once upon a time, there were two brothers, Nnamdi and Ekene. Nnamdi and Ekene were just toddlers when their father passed away unexpectedly. Their mother, devastated by the loss and accused of a crime she didn't commit, was forced to leave their village, taking her two sons with her. With agony, she left the village with her sons, leaving every other property they had behind, because her husband's brothers wouldn't allow her to take anything. She thought about going back to her father's house, but her parents were late. Then she decided to go to her maternal home. But on getting there, her uncles chased her away, also accusing her of killing her husband. They called her a witch and called her children evil. She struggled to survive with her children, with no place to lay their heads each passing night. They became wanderers, moving from one village to another seeking help. They got to a village, and as she couldn't take it anymore, she told her children that they needed to take some rest. Then they sat under a mango tree and she slept off. In that village was a poor childless couple, Ogbonna and Afoma. They had gone to their farm, and as they were walking, Afoma heard the cry of a child. Initially, she ignored it, but when the cry became louder, she beckoned on her husband, and together they set out in search of the child crying. As they got close to the mango tree, they saw two little boys crying and pushing their mother to wake up. Their mother was lying helplessly on the floor. Afoma quickly ran and got water to give her. But as she tried to give her the water to drink, she only said, "This is Nnamdi and this is Ekene," then tragically passed away, leaving Nnamdi and Ekene orphaned. Ogbonna and Afoma took them in and raised them as their biological children. Life with the farmers was tough, but filled with love. They were poor, but were never hungry. As they grew, knowing fully well that the little money they make from selling their farm produce cannot sponsor their education, Ogbonna took Nnamdi to the richest man in their village, who is also a businessman, to learn a trade. He never wanted to take Nnamdi, but had to when Ogbonna told him that Nnamdi learning a trade is the best they could offer. But before then, he learned carpentry work with his brother Ekene. They already had a little shop where they make simple furniture like kitchen stools and saving box for people. They also sell firewood. Their parents had never asked them for money, but they encouraged them to save well, since they had plans of using their savings to sponsor Ekene's education. Nnamdi was very loyal to his master. He served him so well, and his master was so proud of him. He was the youngest of his boys and was usually used as an errand boy, both by his master, his wife, and his fellow boys, but he never complained. His master also noticed that he has a good marketing skill, and his wife would always tell him how much sales she makes any day Nnamdi stays in her own shop with her. Soon, His oga stopped him from running errands and focused on making sales in the shop, and the shop grew so well. He served his master for 7 years and was settled with something way above what they agreed on. At his settlement, he was just 19, but reasoned so much above his age. His master gave him a shop filled with goods, a cash of 5 million naira, and also told him that he is free to come and carry goods from his shop and sell at any time. He blessed him and assured him that because of his loyalty to him, that his business will also flourish. Ogbonna was so happy and proud of his son. Ekene was happy too, as he knew that finally his dreams of going to school would be fulfilled. After the settlement, Nnamdi started his own business and flourished. He started to change the lives of his parents and brothers. He started sending money home weekly for their upkeep. He also sent foodstuffs and clothes. He gave Ekene some money to register for his WAEC and JAMB examinations. However, Ekene's path took a different turn when a persuasive man of God warned him against Nnamdi. The man of God claimed that Nnamdi was involved in dark rituals and intended to use Ekene's future for his own gain. He also told Ekene that Nnamdi's master introduced him to the ritual. Frightened and misled, Ekene rejected Nnamdi's support and distanced himself from his brother. The two brothers, who at one time had only each other, became arch enemies, with Ekene rejecting every form of gift from his brother and always calling him a ritualist. Nnamdi was heartbroken. He cried day and night because this is not the future he worked so hard and prayed for. He wanted his brother and only friend back. He was devastated. Ekene is my responsibility, and I will do everything within my power to give him a good life, he said to himself. The rift between them grew deeper over time, fueled by misunderstanding and hurtful words. The once close brothers were now estranged, each carrying the weight of their shattered bond. Their parents were broken as they kept asking Ekene to take them to the man of God that told him that Nnamdi is a ritualist, but he refused. One day, their father had called Nnamdi to come home so he could have a discussion with the both of them and settle the issue. But as usual, they started throwing insults and accusations at each other, which led to a fight. Their father, in an attempt to separate and stop the fight, fell. Ekene mistakenly pushed him and he hit his head on the table and passed. Their mother, in tears, begged Nnamdi not to mention what happened to anyone. I just lost my husband. I cannot afford to lose a son or my sons, she cried. Ekene cried. Nnamdi felt so bad and made up his mind never to fight Ekene again. Their father's burial was a big one, fully sponsored by Nnamdi. After the burial, Nnamdi asked their mother to follow him back to the city so as to have the experience of a good life. But she declined, stating that she doesn't want Ekene to feel abandoned and hurt himself, considering that he was still crying and blaming himself for their father's death. Years passed and they remained the same, always fighting and quarreling with each other. Ekene sat in front of his shop as tears streamed down his eyes. His shop was destroyed by the recent flood happening in their village. He hurriedly cleaned the tears as he kept thinking, "How did we get here?" he said. He remembered how his father, himself, and Nnamdi built their small shop. Their father had told them that he didn't have money to buy wood for the shop, since he had already bought working tools for them. So they went to different construction sites in search of wood, and luckily for them, they gathered so many, which their father used. After the construction, their mother called them and gave them her savings, so they used it to get wood for their first job, and they were so happy. He remembered that it was Nnamdi that brought up the idea of them going to the bush to fetch firewood and sell. They started it and it yielded some money for them. It was also Nnamdi that suggested that they go to construction sites and get used woods to sell as firewood, which they did and it yielded money. Ekene remembered how young they were, the laughter, the pain and the tears. The night Nnamdi told him he would be leaving for Onitsha to go serve his master, how much he cried and how lonely he felt after his brother left. Then after Nnamdi was settled, on one cool evening, he came home with a very big traveling bag containing clothes and shoes for him and their parents. That was the first day I wore good shoes in my life, Ekene said. He smiled as he wiped the tears from his eyes. He remembered the promises. Nnamdi promised to send him to school and to any level he wished to. Nnamdi was at the verge of fulfilling his promise when the man of God gave him the revelation. But where will my brother want to use my destiny? He asked himself. Come to think of it, it's been 7 years and this destiny that Nnamdi wanted to steal has not even manifested. 7 years since I wrote my WAEC and JAMB examinations and I am still here selling firewood while my brother is living big and building houses everywhere. Something is not just right with me. I can feel it and I know it. Nnamdi was in his shop when Ekene's friend, came to him for financial assistance for his sister. Nnamdi was surprised to see him. He asked him how he got his contact and Ekene told him their mother gave them to him. After tabling his problems to Nnamdi was willing to help, but on a condition that after his sister's surgery, he would make out time and search for the man of God that told Ekene that he's a ritualist and wants to use his destiny. Ekene did a good job and was able to find the man of God. Few days later, Nnamdi went to his church and after exchanging pleasantries, he told the man of God that he was there to sow a seed of faith. The man of God happily collected his offering and almost asked him for extra. Nnamdi told him that he would like to start worshiping in his church, and the man of God wrote a long list of things he needed to buy so as to be accepted to be one of them. He also told the man of God of his intentions to bless the youth of his congregation. He wants to give them jobs, open up businesses for them. And the man of God immediately told him that he too would be interested in the business opening. Nnamdi laughed. Nnamdi also asked Ekene never to discuss their movements with Ekene. On the next Sunday, Nnamdi went to the church and before the teaching of the word of God, the pastor announced his presence as a godly man, God's own servant, whom God has sent to bless the people. The pastor went on and on with the praises till Nnamdi came out. Ekene was tuned. He couldn't believe it. Man of God, he shouted with so much surprise on his face. He's my brother. He is my brother. The one you told me is a ritualist and wants to use my destiny. God forbid you, the pastor rebukes Ekene. Brother Ekene, please stop. Stop it. I said stop it right now. This is God's own servant. A man God has blessed to bless others. He is a true child of God. Man of God, so is you that told my brother to avoid me. To him, my money is evil, but to you is God's gift. Nnamdi stood in front of the church looking at his brother Ekene. He couldn't believe that this hungry-looking young man is his only brother whom he has suffered so much so he would have a good life. He didn't utter a word. He drove off and went to see their mother. Ekene blamed himself for not trusting his brother enough. At that moment, he felt the pain of their father's death the most. So I killed my father for nothing. A man who gave us life when all hope was gone. He turned to the man of God. God will judge you. God will punish you. Evil man, wicked man. Who knows how many families you have destroyed with your fake prophecies? The church members were so disappointed in their leader. Ekene realized that he had let fear and mistrust cloud his judgment, tearing apart the family that had already suffered so much, tearing the bond they had. Seeking forgiveness and reconciliation, Ekene ran home and knelt before his brother and cried. Nnamdi quickly stood up and hugged him. "I've missed you, my blood," he said. Ekene couldn't say a word as he kept crying. He learned the painful truth that the man of God had deceived him, exploiting his vulnerability for personal gain. Nnamdi, in turn, forgave his brother, understanding the fear and confusion that had driven Ekene away. Their mother hugged them both as she quickly ran inside the house to pack her bags. She danced and was singing, "I am going to the city. I want to have a taste of city life." With time, they rebuilt their relationship and bond. United once more, Nnamdi and Ekene found strength in their shared past and the resilience of their bond. They honored their father's memory by supporting each other and striving for a better future together. The scars of their past misunderstandings remained, but they served as a testament to the healing power of forgiveness and the enduring love between brothers. Moral lesson 1. Critical thinking and discernment. Ekene initially believed the man of God's accusation without questioning or verifying the truth. This emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and not blindly accepting every prophecy, especially when it could harm relationships. 2. Importance of trust and communication. Had Ekene communicated directly with Nnamdi or investigated further, he could have avoided the misunderstanding. Trust and open communication are crucial in maintaining healthy family relationships, especially in times of uncertainty or doubt. 3. Seeking truth. It's essential to seek the truth before making judgments or taking actions that could have significant consequences. Ekene's story teaches us not to rush to conclusions based on hearsay, but to seek accurate information through reliable sources. 4. Forgiveness and reconciliation. When Ekene discovered the truth, there is an opportunity for forgiveness and reconciliation with Nnamdi. This underscores the importance of humility and forgiveness in repairing relationships damaged by misunderstanding and fake prophecies. Thank you for listening to my story. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories from Amaka's Folktales. Bye-bye!